Hello everyone, this is Fantastic Worlds, welcome you back to Lovecraft Country and Control, Lore and Chill. And it's called Lore and Chill because this isn't going to be a full episode of lore. That's just going to be me kind of going over some of the concepts I've been mentioning in this series in regard to the concepts of Gnosticism and a little bit of Kabbalah. Now, what those two are is they're systems of mystical belief within the Christian and Judaic religion entirely, and I'm not an expert on them. I'm just fascinated by them and read a lot about them. But I do recognize in some cases that Gnosticistic principles have drifted over into cosmic horror, which is actually kind of natural because Gnosticism and Kabbalah to some degree do have elements of cosmic horror in them. In that certain not concepts like the God is evil and the universe is evil preceded good kind of lead to that. So, but let's deal with what is relevant for this game. So I'll be going over concepts from Gnosticism like the Demiurge, the Grigori, aka the Watchers, if you're familiar with the Book of Enoch, and several of the things that I believe are relevant to the game. So let's get going. Now I'm going to be grinding a bit while we're doing this.
Like human hosts do.
Do you really want to find out? I'm not infecting cats to find out what happens, okay? Anyways, so Gnosticism. Some people believe, for example, that Gnosticism was in fact a religion that existed with big capital G at the beginning, that had people, with regular rituals and churches and books and such, and I'm of the majority that believe they don't. They just kind of believe that they were a group of like-minded as they were heretical faiths. Oh god, where are we going now? Okay, research. I guess we're going to research. Hang on. Heretical faiths grouped together by a single concept, and that concept is that the universe is really messed up. In other words, and it is purposely messed up. So let's go in. Now, I'm not going to try to go into some of the major concepts of the oh no, I said do this.
Yes.
Right.
Delusional.
Hey, Pope's my girl. Alright, so we want to go fast travel to research, probably rituals are best bet. Yeah, okay. So Gnosticism is a little g. It's a group of heretical beliefs within the Christian hierarchy, but I'm not going to be dealing with a lot of the religion or history or politics of the situation to simply prevent my comments becoming a trash fire. So, what is Gnosticism? It is the belief, first of all, that one should seek gnosis, as in... Hello? Hi. Are you wearing a suit? Really? Can't even capture your mind. It's boring. Okay, we're gonna be in trouble. Hi. Somehow I knew you were gonna be there. Oh, well, that was good for me. Peekaboo. Well, that happened. Oh, you got some bits. You got a good couple of pieces of me, too. We'll get back to the Gnosticism in a bit. Hey, see, yes, one of the biggest things about Gnosticism is the belief that the concept of God is actually inaccurate. So, first of all, the universe, as we know it, is not right. It's an illusion. It's created to entrap our minds, to prevent us from ever detecting... Oh, that was easy. From ever figuring out what is actually really going on, to keep us slaves to what is called the Demiurge. Now, let's go over, first of all, how the universe was created in the first place. The universe is created from a concept that there's referred to a lot of different ways, but I usually refer to it blankly as the void. It is literally not an emptiness, not like a black thing that goes on forever, but literally like an endless, boundless sea of possibilities, a black turbulent liquid, if you want to envision it that way, that you can't the seas from which everything arises. For example, and what you need to do in order to be able to create the world is to be able to shape it. Now, there's a concept called chaos magic, for example, which runs around this principle that the universe is unformed to some degree, and we can, by certain principles, form it in ways that we want to. Now, the ultimate chaos magic then would be the creation of the universe itself, the shaping it from this chaotic matter. You just notice I'm just kind of going around, checking things out, looking for lore like I usually do when I grind. Let's say. So, this creates a sort of situation of what exactly gave the universe shape. And that, of course, is, well, calling God is kind of underselling it. The concept of a god, for example, even the God of the Israelites, which most people think of as God with a capital G, is not actually it. Those are different components of whatever you want to call this entity. It's got a lot of names. The monad, for example, the one, not that one. The stranger, which I find is an awesome one because it usually refers to the fact that God or his the divine or the representative tends to be a mysterious figure that seems to know everything, yet has kind of always been there and nobody thinks about. Yeah, we're going to get to him in probably a future episode. But in that case, this is the concept of the unknowable. Now, I'm going to be using the name for it that is used for Cultist Simulator, my other episode. We already been through here. This just calls it the Glory, which is kind of an awesome name and kind of, non-denominational, so I'm not going to get into trouble with anyone. So the Glory, what is the Glory? Well, the Glory is something you cannot define. Excuse me. Die. God, how many of you are there? Pop up. Okay, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. This is just getting Sniper's Alley here. I should probably care. That's somebody's rocket. That's so cool. God, it's just sniper picking here. We done? No more of you out there? No, we're close in, so... Hi! I can see your health bar. Alright, so the concept of the glory, as it were, is that it is literally beyond comprehension. It is the sum total of all consciousness, all being, all things that ever were, ever will be. It is time and space, the multiverse, everything you can think of. The best way to think of it is as the universe's DNA. It literally carries the entire structure of the universe. Well, not the universe, the multiverse, for which our universe is only one small, thin layer, but literally everything that could and possibly would be. Now, this, like DNA, for example, produces the structure of the universe, the potential structure, and that potential structure goes out, radiates from the center, the glory, and causes the void to shape and... excuse me, I'm going to have to do some killing here. Cause it to shape itself in the fashion that the glory desires. Now, the glory is not going to do all of this job by itself. So therefore, what is called emanates, which basically means comes from its substance, what are called aeons. Now, aeons are properly what you think of as a god. It is literally the glorious helpers. Now, each one of them has specific cause, a specific concept in which they embody and help promote and shape within the world. For example, the Aeon Sophia, which is named after the Greek concept of wisdom, is the goddess of wisdom. Therefore, her concept is to embody and, shall we say, shape and... Let's see, you're dead too. Now, this isn't actually pointless, by the way. I do get points for killing them as Kiss for at least one of the accomplishments. Plus, they just kind of annoy me. So, and for example, any god, any spirit, any archangel or angel that you think of, that is a aeon. Now, it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of I kind of like it because it's kind of ooh, we missed this. Cool. It's kind of a, religion and doctrine and dogma-free concept. Now, anybody who you interact with, for example, capable of interacting with directly in a divine level, or such as an ancestor spirit or another concept like that, would... all right, we're going back through the astral exhibition. We're not opening that. Thank you. Would be what they call a aeon. So, all right, so what happens? How does the glory shape it? Now, the way the glory shapes the universe is that when it's... Oh, God. People, shut up. Just shut up! Now, I've actually listened to the entire stream of that in one of the combinations, and it's fascinating. And like, again, when we get to the, if we do this for the hiss, an episode like this, I will go over that as well. But yeah, so what happens is that the information contained within the glory, then, I guess we're going this way, within the glory, is transmitted across the universe. It is shaped the same way that DNA shapes the cells within our body to create, well, our body, the universe, according to the image that God set upon it. Not God, the glory set upon it, which, by the way, includes you. So technically, yes, your consciousness is, by this theory, part of the glory itself. And just like every single cell within a body contains the full DNA of the body, technically all of us contain the potential for godhood. I think I've gone in a complete circle. I missed somebody. Ah, it was you. Contain the potential for godhood. And the way to attain godhood in this is to attain gnosis. Now, I've gone over the basics, so that's actually what's supposed to go right. To understand the godhood within you, that section of the glory which is manifest within your existence. Yeah, now we're getting kind of weird here, but this is this kind of episode. You have to achieve what is called gnosis. You have to achieve... Let's see, where are we supposed to go from here? Anyways, that way, I guess. The understanding, that personal connection with the glory. Now, let's talk about why... Oh, excuse me. Alright, let's just kill this thing. It just makes my life so much harder. Missed? I'm depressed by that. Lead the shot. Kill you. Is that all you? Nope. Oh my god, who are you? Well, actually, that wasn't a bad idea. Well, you're shooting kind of bad there. Junior staff officer, do not walk in front of a woman with a shotgun. And you're hiding the distance. That's cute. Oh, for crying out loud. Let's end this. You know, when I stop kidding is when the masonry changes. I love that ability. Anyways, yes, as I was saying, is to achieve gnosis is to achieve the actual knowledge of the glory within you. Now, like I say, let's go over the basics of what the Gnostics believe, that attaining said glory is the sum total of what is the act of enlightenment itself, and should be what everybody is actually trying to do, rather than pursuing dogma within church. But again, we're not going to get too much into that. So, what exactly does that have to do with the Demiurge? Okay, so you may note that there seems to be something a little wrong with my theory there, in the fact that none of us actually seem to be aware of our inherent divinity. That's because we are currently being shrouded from the glory. Now, if you were to imagine the universe as a great sphere, or circle, I guess, since the best I can do is 2 dimensions, if I actually do manage to get some images in here, you can imagine that the glory is at the center of it, and it radiates outward using light to communicate the information to shape the universe. Now, this may sound a little weird that information can be carried in light, but by the way, the system you're using right now to see this as I'm talking to you uses at least partially a fiber optic network. A fiber optic is cable that uses light for a source of medium to transmit the information. And why the light here that we have in this case is using binary, since computers use a binary code as of the time of this recording. God knows what quantum computing may do sometime in the future. But as a result, I'll hit the circle again and go somewhere else. Oh, I missed something. There we go, dodge efficiency. I doubt it's really one I really want, but you know, I never know. Well, let's see. Okay, so that like I said, uses light to transmit the information. But you see, the problem is that if you were to say use something far better than a physical computer developed by mortals, say for example the structure of the universe itself to transmit that information, you could transmit information as what are called a quantum state. So let's head over to maintenance. All right. Now, quantum state means that instead of ones and zeros, it technically would have an infinite number of states. You can imagine a number or a fraction of a number. That could be the information that particle of light is in fact transmitting. So, as a result, that means that right at all times, the light of God is radiating through the universe light of the glory, get the terms right, is radiating through the universe in a manner to ensure that the universe continues functioning in a proper manner. Now, let's go over the Gnostic version of the fall, because while you probably know the Orthodox story of the fall being where Eve takes the fruit that's being tempted by the serpent and gives it to Adam, Gnosticism has it a bit backwards. It's not man that fell, it's some of the aeons. Means that basically there was a rebellion against the glory by a number of aeons that decided that instead of serving the glory, they wanted to take a chunk of creation and rule it for themselves. Basically, this is of course usually of course what we refer to as, Satan's sin, but in Gnosticism, Satan doesn't exist. In other words, it's basically Satan, for example, means adversary. And if you really want me to get into that one, I will go into the original Judaic meaning of the adversary, which is not the adversary of God, but the prosecuting attorney of God and the adversary of sinners, really. But to get back where we were before, the adversary, when these rebel aeons decided they were going to take a piece of the universe for themselves, what they did is they created a concept that is referred to in the hidden Gospel of John, or the Apocrypha of John, as the Demiurge. Now, the Demiurge is usually considered to be a cloud or a veil or a type of obscurement that blocks the light of the glory from a small section of creation itself. In other words, that sphere I told you about, if you think about it, or think of it as a circle, there's a small line that's not all of the light of the glory gets through. And as a result, this means that the glory, information that provides the structure of the universe, is corrupted. And that corruption means that the worlds and the universes that are beyond the veil between it and the center of the universe where the glory resides, that particular area is not getting the full set of light and not getting the full set of information and is weakened. And anybody within it is also weakened, partially separated by the glory itself. From the glory itself. So as a result, anybody or anything and anywhere inside of this affected section, which by the way includes our universe within the Gnostic model, is not going to be as magical, as powerful, as beautiful. It's going to be duller. It's going to be weaker. It's going to be, not a lot of fun to be in. Now, why would a bunch of aeons do that? Like I said before, what they want to do is they want to break away from the glory and do their own thing, but doing their own thing usually in this case means that they're going to be complete and utter bastards, and they are, because let's go over what type of aeons we're dealing with. Now, depending on which gospel you're going with. Ma'am? Wait, no. What do I say if I'm the director of a civilian agency like this? Carry on. There we go. So in this case, I can't remember where I am. Sorry, I got distracted there. In this case, the aeons we're dealing with, in this case, depend on the gospel you're using. But considering that the board, and yes, I'm counting the board as being the aeons in question, because remember the board comes out as multiple. Since most of the Gospels have a single leader and a bunch of unnamed or barely named followers, there's one Gospel, the Gnostics, that does have a group and a group named to them, and that is the Book of Enoch. And the aeons beyond that are known as the Gregori or the Watchers. Now, if you know even the smallest amount of Gnosticism, you're probably aware of the Book of Enoch, which declares that a whole bunch of archangels decided that, they wanted to have some nookie with some mortal women, so they decided to, cut off with God and take this world as their own. Now, I don't actually think that's the original version, because that's just the Greek translation, and the Greeks have been kind of, let's be honest about it. Most of what's anti-female in the Western religions stems from the contamination of hate with Manichaeans through Greek. Now, I'm not going to get into the heavy handed of it, but anything that comes through the Greeks that we get is going to have a heavy listing of it's women's fault that everything is so bad. It's not me making a personal opinion. It's not me, trying to put an agenda in here. It's just kind of how it works out. In other words, the sin of Eve, for example, that got added in there, wasn't in the original text. And yes, I have read some of the older texts where it isn't in there. Or for example, Lilith, which, by the way, is a complete lie because it's the tense. It's not literally a. Hang on a second. It's not literally gospel. Oh, right. Shields up. You guys, I forgot about you. You're all over the place in here. You know, down boy. Anyone else? Goddamn trash can. Well, that didn't go so well. Let's grab some souls here. Okay. So, yeah. The problem is Lilith is added at the 10th century, and it's not even in a gospel. It's a form of satire. Lilith you're probably aware of, Adam's first wife, which, of course, is not in any of the gospels, except, of course, got it afterwards. Sophia being the Aeon that created the Sokoloth, which is the name which is the Fool, which is kind of a generic name used for the leader of the rebel Aeons that created the Demiurge. But yeah, the real reason, if you go some of the Gospels, is literally that they wanted to declare themselves to be the only God. Basically, they placed themselves. Let's see, I saw something down here. I don't have class 5. They saw themselves as whether they didn't know any better or simply decided that they didn't want to play nice with others. Oh, still here, cool. They decided that they were going to try to strike off on their own and take a whole bunch of, rude souls and put them into crude material bodies and strip away their knowledge of the divine rights and make them into slaves. It should be noted also that the Watchers created an entire race of synthetic slaves known as the Nephilim, but that's an entire different subject. We don't have to get into that for this one. So, what exactly did they do? Well, for example, once they set up the Demiurge, they cut it off from most of the energy within the universe. Now, if you remember Darling's lecture, hang on, I think about his lecture, the document he had about the objects of power. He noted that objects of power were connected to the board, which we're going to be referring to as the Watchers, in order to receive energy from the astral plane. But he asked himself why they couldn't connect to the astral plane entirely. That is because the board is using the concept of the Demiurge, that veil, to cut off power from the human race. In other words, the human race itself is supposed to be having magical psychic abilities all the time rather than a few rare occasions, and they are supposed to be using them to eventually develop into godlike beings themselves. But what happened is that by keeping the light partially obscured from us, humanity will not develop in that fashion, and they can continue to use us as slaves, experimental subjects, or just to amuse themselves in petty sadism. Yeah, and this is a thing. You see the symbol here? Okay, the symbol for ascension usually is a pyramid with its point upwards. That is to represent the difficult climb to higher states of awareness. But by placing the pyramid in reverse here, they're essentially reversing that concept. They're making it impossible because you can't climb this pyramid for humanity to go any further. They are, as the game and the Bureau is, controlling us. Now, like I said, we've wandered deep into conspiracy theory here, but the concept being is that the board, the Grigori, the Watchers, the Rebel Aeons, whatever you call them, have a real problem with their section. Not only are they at war with their own creator, which, tends to go poorly since it's power is kind of stacked on the creator's side, there's a problem with what's outside of creation. You see, remember I told you about the void being shaped? Well, the void is infinite, and creation is smaller than that. That means that outside of creation, the void is still there, and there are things that live in the void. In fact, as I've noted before, hang on, I guess we're going to maintenance. Oh, excuse me, everyone. I did not know you were here. Please forgive me. I did not mean to bother you. Well, that sucked. Where are you? Ooh, that was a bit jumpy. Oh, there you are. Oh, gods. I'm not going to be able to do all of this. Boom! Well, this sucks. Distracted, distracted, distracted. Don't get distracted, kids. They'll kill you. Well, that sucked. Lose a little source. No problem. Anyways. Okay, so what's the problem? Well, the thing is, there are things out in the void. There are also the fact that once you block off the light and the pattern creeping creation together, like DNA, is corrupted, you create cancerous growths within it. So every time, let's see, where the heck is that? Let's see, missions. Do we get... We probably don't have... Yeah, we lost that by getting killed. Oh, well. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Meantime, since we've got... Let's pop over to Pneumatics. Dead letters. Since we've got that... See, with those cancerous things that are produced within it, threaten, of course, the continuation of their little, shall we say, stolen garden. Now, the cancerous cells are going to be the things that come off as like evil spirits or objects of power that are corrupted, or other things in this universe that are going to be problems. And since those problems arise, since those problems arise, there has to be some way of dealing with them. Now, what happens is that humans tend to be really good at organizing things, and they tend to organize groups that deal with these problems because they keep happening, so obviously somebody has to deal with them, and who are you going to call? Yeah, the Ghostbusters would technically be counting as one of these organizations. So that being the case, what happens is the Demiurge goes looking for them. The Grigori want someone to take care of these problems because these are problems that they generated, but they can't really deal with a lot because once they fell from grace and they blocked themselves off from the glory's light, they lost a lot of their power. Now, they're godlike entities to us that are beyond our comprehension, but they're also like a shadow of their former self. And as a result, they tend to want to kind of offload their problems for somebody else to deal with. Now, let's consider the concept of a monster hunter. Now, a monster hunter happens all the time within, let's head over to research again. Happens all the time within fiction, where you have somebody who realizes that something's going wrong, and there's some monster, there's a vampire, there's a werewolf, there's a creature in the forest, something that is dangerous to the rest of humanity, and they arm up and go for it. Now, if they do this, and the Demiurge notices them, the Demiurge, the board in this case, notices them, the board will happily help them for a price. See, they'll give them magic items, like, say, the service weapon, in order to be able to handle these problems for them. And they'll be all so beneficial and patronly about it to deal with the fact that they are, in fact, the ones causing the problem indirectly, and have absolutely no... They've actually been treating the humanity as their slave, an experimental race for funsies, but hey, they'll help deal with that multi-tentacled beast that's in the basement. Okay, excuse me. I can't really miss here. Oh, we're not screwing around this time. I'm in a mood. I'm in my mood. Yeah, try to regenerate that, dude. My mood. I like the fact that this thing is throwing objects in front of it to get away from me. Oh, that was a thing. I feel a little better after getting killed by the suicide bombers. This thing's gonna be lethal. Anyways. So yeah, so what happens is the board. Now remember, they referred to the service weapon before as Excalibur, which means that they did that for King Arthur, and they've done it for other champions where some mystical force or representative or says, here, take this magic sword / gun / laser rifle and go kill our mutual enemies. So that's what they do. And they've been running off pretending to be the good guys for the whole time. In this case, what happens is the Bureau, the Federal Bureau of Control, actually existed before, excuse me, they encountered the oldest house. It was literally a federal bureau to deal with paranatural circumstances. But the first director, the one that was referred to, let's see, hang on, I can remember his name. It is in collectibles under Hotline, under Northmore. Right, his name was Northmore. Northmore located, in their first mission, located the oldest house, the construct that we are currently standing in. And he picked up the service weapon. Now, the service weapon, of course, put him in direct mental contact with the board, aka the Grigori, and they cut a deal. Just like, oh, wait, I didn't even know it was up there. Can I even get up there? Probably not, but, you know, maybe we can climb this thing? Can we actually climb this thing? Sort of. Alright, so yeah, we can get this now. Alright, and we got dodge efficiency. I gotta go through this stuff. It reminds you, you gotta keep your eyes about you. So with Northmore, they made the sort of deal that they would be the patron of the Bureau if the Bureau would do their bidding and try to clean up their messes for them. Now, the Bureau doesn't know any of this at all. They don't... I mean, Zachariah was actually correct, Trench, the second one, that the board cannot be trusted. And he doesn't know, however, what to do without the board, because the board provides 90% of the power. Now, as the research guy, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot his Darling. Darling stated what the board does is they can create ports between the Demiurge and the rest of the universe to channel in power. And what they do is they channel them through the objects of power that we're using. Remember, she's got a bunch of objects that she's linked to. Those objects are linked to the board. The board then connects them to the astral plane, unblocked astral plane, to give them power so they can be used. But this also gives them the ability to turn them off at will. So therefore the Bureau can't turn against the board. They can't. The board will just shut down all of their items, and then the next thing you know, they've got nothing to work with. So it's kind of a parasitic relationship going on here. It's not really a lot of... So that's one of the reasons why it sucks so much to work with the board at the Bureau. Because you're working for a bunch of fallen angels, basically. They may not be, devils wandering around in some horror film, but what they are complete and utter asshats. Now, one of the things to keep in mind when you're dealing with the board is that they do not recognize human life at all. They will speak to the director, but they just tell the director to do the job. They don't actually tell you how to do them. They don't provide any resources outside the objects of power and the occasional Bureau countermeasure things. But you notice that all of this comes with a cost, because again, the Grigori / board / Demiurge are desperately trying to keep control, because they have to control the situation, because if humans attain their full potential in power, they will in fact be able to eventually overcome the board, take down the Demiurge, and reconnect to the light of the glory to reach their full potential. Yeah, you may be noticing, by the way, some overlaps with the Matrix in a technological sense, using programs instead of the Aeons. Yeah, the Wachowski sisters did really put a lot of Gnosticism into their movies. I haven't actually seen the fourth film, so no spoilers in the comments if anybody talks about that at this time. I will probably eventually see it. As long as there's a pandemic going on, I'm not really going to be going to the movie theater, and have to wait for it to get through the disc at the library. But in any case, that's what the concept of, like I say, the Demiurge is. The Demiurge, as I refer to as the board, because it's kind of a funny thing, rather than the Grigori or Watchers, is that according to the Gospel of Enoch, the Book of Enoch, the Watchers were defeated already. They're not out there anymore, but the Demiurge and the Nephilim are, and the Nephilim have kind of tried to take their place, but they're not as powerful. So whether they're not, they are in fact Demiurge or the original Grigori, they're operating as the board, I can't tell you. It's beyond the scope of this game. But I can tell you that they're working with the Demiurge. Now, the Demiurge itself, like I said, is the construct, the veil that is currently holding back the full light of the glory. Now, that being the case... Hang on a second. More of you guys. That being the case... that becomes the primary instrument that we're dealing with. So I tend to think of the inverted pyramid that we see in astral space as being, in fact, the Demiurge itself. Now, the board may reside within the Demiurge. The board may be somewhere else, but it's also my belief that the astral body of the Demiurge creates a construct in our physical reality, and that construct is known as the oldest house. And I'll be going into that with the next episode of Lore and Chill. If you've liked this one, please let me know, because that will determine how quickly I'll come out with another one. And I'll be going over the other concepts of Gnosticism that apply to this game. Let's see, come on. And you're gone. Hey, I can actually throw it right through. Yeah, I figure with mind control and telekinesis I've become Jean Grey. But, oh, cool. Apparently I've got some old wounds I gotta deal with. But yeah, the concept being is that, hang on, this, the oldest house, is the physical representation of the Demiurge, which is one of the reasons why it's under complete control of the board. Remember, the service weapon was found within the oldest house. The oldest house is where the board holds, and it is where only place that Jessie can use the power. Now, I know this is the only place that Jessie can use her powers because, ironically, there is a promotional video that was done by Remedy in which the actress who models for Jessie and mocap and such visits there and points out she can't use her powers outside of the house. And technically I don't know if there's canon or not, but I'm working with it as canon, so that means that outside of the house there's no connection at all to the astral realm. It's further away from the light of the glory, whereas in here, this is the layer that the light of glory strikes on one side. The energy is transmitted through the board, through the objects of power, such as the service weapon, to Jessie or any other director to use, or any other para-utilitarian, because there are other people who can use it. It's just Jessie is the most powerful. Now, like I said, next episode we'll be going over the concept of the Demiurge being the oldest house, if you want to. Now, I am going to make these episodes as best I can, and the majority of them will come towards the end of the series when we have all the lore. Right now, I'm just running with what I know so far as of episode 7A, and what I know so far of Gnosticism and Kabbalah, which, I'm always reading more on that. So if there's it may be that some of this information gets updated into later episodes. But if you want to see more, tell me in the comments and hit the like button, because it's not a traditional episode. I'm not really putting out a lot that some people might find entertaining, so I just want to know if you guys like this. In any case, I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, this is a fantastic world. Like, share, subscribe. Down below, links in the comment. Like, share, subscribe. Down below, if you really like this, there are links to the Gumroad payment platform, which you can become a supporter and unlock additional episodes both for yourself and the channel. There are stretch goals for both subscribers and supporters, and if you like these episodes, I will be putting them up for vote for supporter bonus episodes. There are 3 bonus episodes every month. So, with that being said, this is Fantastic World saying farewell. Bye.